Hello all YouTubers, the Weather Dude here with your weather forecast for your exact location. Welcome back to my presentation for February 23rd, 2019. In today's video, I'm going to focus on the eastern United States, especially the southeast, where there's a major severe weather threat and a major flood threat as well, so stay tuned for that with the possible threat of tornadoes. As always, please consider subscribing and also ringing the bell notifications after you do subscribe. That really helps my channel. Thank you very much to all my supporters thus far. So we are going to start out today with the Storm Prediction Center, and this is their convective outlook map. Now I do have a graph that shows you what this all means in case you are confused. So it's very light green, okay, that's just like plain old rain, thunderstorms. Now you should still take this seriously, but I'm not saying taking anything for granted, but then again, lightning and flooding can still exist with any storms. But what you do want to focus on, especially, is that yellow, orange, and red area, okay? So green is marginal, the dark green, not the light green, that's just plain old thunderstorms. The dark green is marginal, we have yellow as slight, orange is enhanced, and red is moderate. Orange and red are the absolute worst. Now there is one more higher, thankfully we're not reaching that category. Okay, but there is a decent amount of population. We're talking about over almost 1.3 million people in a moderate risk. So if you add these numbers all together, that's about a little bit above 23 million people under the gun for some kind of severe weather this evening. Now, if you put that into square mileage, that is also a lot of people. We're talking about 175, 180,000 square miles under some kind of severe weather threat right in this region, basically right here. And again, these are just thunderstorms outside of that region. So the areas in a moderate threat, we talk about Tupelo, Mississippi, Florence, Alabama, Columbus, Mississippi, Starkville, Mississippi, and Clarkdale, Mississippi, Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, Huntsville, Alabama, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Tuscaloosa, Alabama are under an enhanced risk. Memphis, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, Chattanooga, and Clarksville, Tennessee are all under a slight risk. And New Orleans, Atlanta, Lexington, Fayette, Montgomery, and Mobile, Alabama are under a marginal risk. Again, please take this seriously. No matter if you're in marginal all the way up to moderate, please take this seriously. Now, this is a probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. Okay, we're talking about 15% plus chance of a tornado. Is like, oh, that sounds like nothing. It's really not. Okay, for this graph, it's actually a lot. Okay, and there is actually an area that is under a significant threat of severe, which is that white. That's the worst. That's above the red shading. Okay, and this is Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, Huntsville, Alabama, Murfreesboro, and Tuscaloosa. And again, we also have Tupelo, Florence, Columbus, Starkville, and Clarksdale, all under that 15% range. Okay, it doesn't sound like much, but it is a lot. And I will show you rainfall totals later on in the video as well. You can see 30% plus chance of damaging winds. Okay, again, Nashville, Jackson, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, and Jackson, Tennessee, and also Jackson, Mississippi are under that 30% chance of very high winds. Again, almost 190,000 square miles is under some kind of threat for damaging winds, and also about 23 million people are under the gun for damaging winds as well, so please be careful. And as for hail, not as great of a chance, okay? Hail will not be a big factor in this storm. I think tornadoes and flooding, or excuse me, wind and flooding will be the greatest threat with these storms. Damaging winds and flooding. Tornado comes third place, and then hail comes last in terms of like how significant the threat will be in the storm. I'm not saying hail is the least important, but as for hail risk, we have about 15 million people under the gun for threat of hail in this region, whether it be in the brown or the yellow. And we also have about 163,000 square miles of a threat of hail. Okay, you can see the population is a cool little graph here. You can see these darker black shadings is the higher population, obviously along Interstate 95. And you can see there's Atlanta right there. You can see some population is under, but thankfully no big cities like Chicago, Detroit, the cities along 95 down in Florida. Okay, thankfully they're not under any severe threat as of now. So you might be thinking, well, what does this all mean? Now that light green I showed you, which was that little thunderstorm label, okay, that's just no severe storms expected, but lightning and flooding threats exist with all storms. That dark green is at marginal risk, okay? Limited duration and coverage or intensity, but still, again, could produce some small hail, and there is an isolated severe storm. If what I mentioned earlier, if you're in that yellow area, this is slight. This is you right here. Short-lived and not widespread, but they could be intense. A few storms could be intense. Scattered severe storms possible. In an orange area, if you were in that orange area that I produced to you earlier, that is that enhanced risk. Okay, numerous severe storms possible, and we do have a persistent widespread. And a few storms could be intense, maybe even several of them. And then finally, the worst category, at least for this storm system, moderate. Okay, nobody is in high, thankfully, but that could change. But nobody's gonna stay in high. You can read that, but we're gonna focus on moderate. Okay, widespread severe storms likely, long-lived, widespread, and intense. And if it happens to get to high, that's widespread severe storms expected, and they're very particularly intense and strong and destructive. Now this is tomorrow. This is Sunday, February 24th. Okay, you see that light green area, those areas of thunderstorms from about Philly all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. Okay, but it's really just plain old rain, maybe a thunderstorm or two. Nothing to really panic about. But if you live in Macon, Georgia, Warner Robins, Georgia, Milledgeville, Georgia, Americus, Georgia, and Dublin, Georgia, a few towns there are under the gun, at least for a marginal risk, not too terrible. The severe threat will weaken as it heads east. But then again, almost 930,000 people are still under the gun for severe weather, so it's still a lot, okay? That's not too far from 1 million people, so still, please be very careful. And again, about a little bit above 14,000 square miles of severe weather is possible. Now to some models, okay? Over the next 16 days, this is the GFS model. This goes through about March 11th in the afternoon. And this is just a GFS model. This is a lower resolution model. And you can see some areas within this red zone could potentially, I wouldn't be surprised potentially if they approach double-digit rainfall totals now through March 11th. So in the next 16 days, 384 hours. Okay. And again, eastern West Virginia, also northeastern Maryland, all the way up to Philadelphia, including northern Delaware, potentially 6 inches or 7 inches of precipitation. Now that could be rain or snow. Okay, going through March 11th. And of course, out in the open waters of the Atlantic, maybe 6 to 10 inches of rain as well. But if we go to the high resolution model, I know if some of you are hockey fans watching this video, okay, you know Philly is getting some rain tonight. So if you want to know about the hockey game, I can jump to that real briefly. The rain won't be too intense, but you do see the more intense rain back to the west and towards Ohio and Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana. Again, that's part of the severe weather threat. That will likely push in after the game is over, okay? So this is talking about like after midnight now. So the showers won't be too intense in Philadelphia. Okay, like maybe like through the game. Okay, so let's say go like the next 5 hours, like when you're at the game, maybe just about when the game is wrapping up towards the end of the game. Maybe Philadelphia could get a brief drizzle of rain, okay? Late green, we'll talk about 0.05 of an inch of rain, if that. But once the heavy rain works in overnight, if you're one of those people that likes to, I don't know, stay up all night and watch a game or stay up all night anyway, and you're out and about, just please be very careful because there could be a heavier downpour coming in once we head to about 10 hours from now. So this is about like early Sunday morning if you happen to be out and about. Just be careful. So the amount of rainfall from now in the next 18 hours through about very early Sunday afternoon, Philadelphia maybe could pick up a 1/2 inch of rain. Okay, again, back all towards the west, northern Kentucky could pick up 2 inches in any of these little purple bands that get those heavier rains. And south of Philadelphia, say along Delaware Route 1 from about maybe Cape May, Wildwood, Dover, the Delaware beaches could maybe pick up potentially up to another inch of rain in the next 18 hours. So just a brief forecast there if you happen to be heading out to Philly for the big hockey game against the Penguins. Now, there is a flood watch, and this is for the Birmingham, Alabama area. Okay, 4 products issued. One of them is the flood watch. More heavy rainfall expected through the night. Widespread totals of 3 to 6 inches have already fallen. Okay, and additionally, there have been isolated locations with totals in the 8 to 10 inch range. That is absolutely nuts. Additional rainfall amounts of up to 1 inch is possible with locally higher amounts expected. Alright folks, this rainfall is nothing to joke about. Flash flooding is something that you must take seriously. I'm not even going to say should take seriously. I'm talking about you must take it seriously. Periods of moderate to heavy rainfall over the past week have caused creeks and streams to become full and overflowing their banks. I will show you a river that is in major flood stage in northern Mississippi in just a little bit. And you can see flood prone or low-lying areas, okay, are only going to get hit harder. And you can see all these Alabama counties here, all from Bibb County all the way down to Winston County, and including Tuscaloosa and Limestone counties, are under a tornado watch. I will give you a moment if you live in Alabama or anywhere in the Southeast, just to read those counties and see if you are under the gun for that. But even if you are not in a tornado watch, just please be careful anyway, because if you're not in a tornado watch, you're going to have a flood threat. If you're not in a flood threat, you could have a tornado threat, or you can get both. So something to take very seriously. Hazardous weather outlook, okay, that just says, restates what's going to happen. Okay, they're usually out all the time, forecasting the next hazardous weather in the next 7 days. Just something to look at there. And there's also a flood warning out, National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama. So 4 things released by the National Weather Service. And I'm also going to show you some videos, or not videos, excuse me, some rainfall maps. And you can see this is around northern Mississippi, eastern Tennessee, basically the whole southeast. You can see here's Memphis right here. This is Memphis. You can see this is Little Rock down here. And just the rainfall we've gotten in one day, just for today. And if I'm gonna zoom in right here on this magenta region, okay, we're talking about we had like 6 to 8 inches of rain just for today, from about Clarksdale, okay, over on to Ended Lake in northern Mississippi. 6 to 8 inches of rain in just one day. Okay, this is why I said this is nothing to joke about whatsoever. Okay, now in the Holly Springs National Forest, okay, that's where my river gauge that I picked out is located. If I can get that to pull up and load. So in the past, let's go 2 weeks. Okay, this is a very cool graphic. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Past 2 weeks, some places have seen up to 20 inches of rain, 15 to 20 inches of rain in just the past 2 weeks. Let me put that in perspective here. For departures above normal, like the surplus of rainfall, okay, we're talking about widespread surpluses. This isn't like, oh, a couple speckles there, a couple speckles there. We're talking about 8, even 10 plus inches above average is your rain surplus. Okay, and even if you're in that purplish color, that dark blue color, we're talking about at least 3 to 4 inches plus of your surplus of rainfall. Okay, widespread areas. Okay, even those darker greens, still at least an inch or two above average. And you can see in the past 2 weeks, we've actually had a deficit of rain. Okay, on the coastal plain from central southern Georgia down to the Florida coast. Okay, it's been pretty bad too. Okay, these yellows maybe an inch or two below average, and a few spots in that peach color potentially been up to 3 inches below average. Okay, so hopefully they will get some rain there soon. But again, that's all on the west coast of Florida. If you go to the east coast of Florida, they're another couple inches above average. So pretty much all evens out for the state of Florida. We will hope that they will not go into a drought effect. So here's the Holly Springs National Forest. This is the Little Tallahatchie River around Etta, Mississippi. This is going to be the river I'm showing you. The reason why I'm showing you this river is because A, it is in major flood stage, and I wanted to show you what it was like, and also this river is in the area that could potentially get hit the hardest by not only the heavy rain threat, but also the severe weather threat as well. And as you can see, it is, if you look to the right of your screen, we do see that it is in major flood stage. It's not going to get to load, but you can see it on the right side of your screen. And you can see it's not really going to get below flood stage. Maybe late Thursday night into Friday, it might drop below action stage. But it will probably drop below the actual flood stage somewhere around early Monday morning, around that time frame. Again, for that area, Etta, Mississippi, there is a flash flood warning and a flood warning. Now that I got that graph loaded, I can show you this. So we are right now at 30.69 feet. Okay, so if you get to 29 feet, which is the worst possible spot on this graphic, The post office and business and homes in the low-lying areas near the river in New Albany are flooded. Several homes along County Highway 46 are flooded. Floodwater is now covering County Highways 46 and 47, and also floodwaters are approaching the level of Highway 355 near the town of Enna, Mississippi itself. Now, even let's take it like between 6 p.m. Sunday and 6 p.m. Monday. So we're talking about maybe like around midnight, early morning, between Sunday and Monday right here, you are still at 25 feet. Okay, now this is a forecast, but this is what could happen. You're still at 25 feet. Okay, that is a pretty high number. Okay, and you can see the river levels here continue to stay high, but even at a level of 25 feet, that can still flood some highways. So again, please stay very, very careful out there. And you can see extensive cropland flooding potentially to last another 1 to 2 days. So please stay careful. Hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Please stay careful if you live in the southeast or in parts of the extreme southern mid-Atlantic where they will get hit hard by not only heavy rainfall, but also the severe weather threat. Again, flooding, winds will be a big threat, with also the threat of a few strong tornadoes. Thank you for watching this presentation for today. I am the Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time.